Hello, my name is Roland Waterman, and I am filling in for Pastor Jeff Peterson, and you are watching Connect. And today, I'm going to connect you with a ministry called Awaken the Dawn. And maybe you've heard of Awaken the Dawn from last year or not, but you're going to find out about a movement that's taking place in America, especially among our younger people, and how you can get involved in that. And I want to begin today by introducing my guest. To my very left is Brenda Brown, and Brenda is from Des Moines, and she is the Iowa Prayer Caucus director. And she'll tell you in a moment about what she does in Des Moines and in the state of Iowa, and what they do in particular at the Capitol in Des Moines. And next to Brenda is Mark Kargol, and Mark is a teacher at Iowa State University, and he is also the regional campus ambassador for the Awaken the Dawn, he's responsible for 7 states of setting up college campuses to do these events on the same date as what is happening in Des Moines. So before I mess this up anymore, I'm going to turn it over to you, Brenda, and just tell us a little bit about you. And tell us first, before we get into Awaken the Dawn, tell them about what you do as the Iowa Prayer Caucus coordinator or director.
So when session starts, I and a group of us pray every Tuesday at the Capitol, and we pray also early in the morning, and representatives and their clerks can come down for prayer. We can minister to them. Usually Monday through Thursday. And then during that session time, we pray for legislators, we watch bills, we pray on the bills going forth, we talk to legislators about certain bills. One of the bills that they were working really hard on last year that we did a ton of prayer on was the heartbeat bill. And then now it's for me, it's for Senator Guth, and just that keeping our religious freedoms. And so it's the working on a religious freedom or a RFRA bill for Iowa. So it's a very, it's a lot of things. It's not one thing, it's not just church, it's not anything like that. It's more just keeping what is good for our Constitution and for our religious freedoms in Iowa.
Yes. And how important is prayer as far as what goes on in our state and in our nation?
Well, I think it's very, very important. We see a lot of, you get weary. You get weary when you're down on the floor and you're listening to debates, and it gets kind of ugly. So we have a lot of legislators that I think they get battle weary, and so we have the caucus, and those are those who want to have prayer, want to have and be a part of that, and it is important for them that we're there and that we're praying for them and with them. But it's also that we keep alive in our state the importance of religious freedom.
Yes.
And so it's a very important. I believe it's very important to Iowa that we stay focused on the freedoms that we do get as a state and a nation.
Yes. And I want to mention this too, although I have never been to one of these prayer gatherings at the state capitol, pastors are invited, are they not?
Yes,
to come and join.
Really encourage pastors
Yes.
and leaders in our communities to come. The importance of pastors, the church has been silent for, a lot of the church has been silent for a number of years and not even voted. And the importance of voting and the importance of just standing up for our religious rights as
Yes.
people is so important in this day and age, because if you don't vote, you don't get in office who you need to make good, God-fearing decisions.
Yes.
And so the importance of pastors and leaders coming up there and praying and talking to our legislators, it is a very, very big deal.
And you're contacted, would they contact you if they want to arrange a day and time to come to Des Moines then? Or?
Yes, they can contact me. Family Leader also brings in pastors and leaders as well. They're an amazing group to work with. But yes, they can contact me, and we'll definitely get things hooked up for them.
And this is all year long, or at least when the legislature is in session, correct?
Yes. It's usually January, the second week in January until May. And so we look for people to come in to speak to legislators on certain things that they want to see or they don't want to see. Maybe it's a farm bill and how things are happening there. Maybe it's the way money's getting spent on roads or lack of.
Yes.
You know, these are all important. Maybe it's just our economics.
Yes.
You know, if you don't speak up, how does anybody know something's wrong?
Yes.
And so the importance of speaking to our legislators is so vital.
Yes. And you know, I asked you earlier, Brenda, you said you're a mom and a grandma. We've got to do this for our kids and our grandkids and future generations. We can't be silent during this time. We need to be involved in what goes on in our government at all levels. But I'm going to have Mark share with you in a little bit, but I'm going to continue here with Brenda for a moment and have her talk to you about what Awaken the Dawn is. And we have a video clip we're going to show you in a moment, but I want her to tell you about Awaken the Dawn and what took place at Washington, D.C. last October, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So last October, a small group of us went to Awaken the Dawn on Washington, D.C.'s mall. And that's where 10,000 people come together, 58 tents, a tent for each state. We had 1,600 worship sets that happened that weekend. And it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we got to worship God for 3 days. We got to pray for our nation, pray for the state in which we come from, just prayer and worship to just change America, to bring back truth. So it was amazing when we first got there to see 58 tents on the mall. Wow, it was just amazing. Yeah. And then to go around to each tent and see what kind of worship was going on, what kind of prayers were happening. We had one tent that was in Virginia or West Virginia that it was youth. It was the kids. They prayed in worship. It wasn't adults, it was the youth that took a hold of that vision and just went, they just did their part. And what was really amazing was in that 3 days that we were there was a Saturday night that we were there just praying and worshiping, and there was, in Washington, D.C., there was no violent crimes that night on a Saturday night. Wow. So it made a difference. It made a difference. David Bradshaw, who was the man that first had the vision for this, was who set it up, got the money to bring the tents together and everything, all the speakers, there were speakers there. And it was just amazing to see what God was doing all together. We had people that used to come, that lived in Iowa when they were kids, that stopped by the tent and just listened and prayed with us, and it was just amazing, just amazing.
You know, I think this would be a good time, Brenda, to show this video clip. So we're going to ask you to just watch this. We're going to take you back to almost a year ago and let you see some of the events that took place that Brenda's been trying to tell you about.
It resonates in the hearts of lovers of God all across the world and all across our nation to gather not around just a speaker or a platform or a well-known celebrity Christian, but they gathered around the presence of God, and God did remarkable things. What just happened on the National Mall was actually unprecedented. 58 tents covering the mall. There was one tent for every state, and the nation mobilized together Over 1,600 worship and prayer teams from every state in America came together for 4 days. It was 24-hour worship, music, prayer, and proclamation of the gospel. And the atmosphere of Washington, D.C. was shifting during those 4 days. It was one of the busiest weekends of the year, Columbus Day weekend in Washington, D.C. Hundreds of thousands of tourists come together, and they were walking onto the National Mall past tent after tent after tent after tent after tent, and tens of thousands of people were confronted with the love of God. This was a bold, audacious, visible expression of Jesus' worth at the center of our nation. We're hearing stories right now of the power of God responding to the prayers of the saints. One lady was running an ice cream truck, and she was selling ice cream and telling everyone about what was going on at the event and sharing Jesus with them. And 53 people just from the ice cream truck gave their life to Jesus. One girl I met just recently, she was at the gathering, never experienced worship like that in her entire life, was deeply being touched by Jesus in a very personal way, but she had scars all over her body from self-harm. And one night, speaker Todd White stands up and says, God is going to heal people from wounds related to self-harm. And he says this, and all of a sudden she feels the presence of the Lord. She actually feels like a hand on her back. And she looks at her scars, and the Lord had taken away all of her scars. We're hearing testimonies from people in places of power. They had encounters with Jesus, gave their life to him, got saved, and experienced God touching them in remarkable ways because the atmosphere of Washington, D.C. shifted. We saw teams in regions finding one another. In fact, in various states, we're hearing the stories now that they met each other at Awake in the Dawn, and now gatherings and movements and expressions of worship and prayer are being birthed all across America. This was a staging ground. It was never an end game. Imagine with us what America will feel like if there were 3 days where there were tents in every single state and hundreds of campuses, and the kingdom of God, his beauty and his worth was filling our nation. We are going to tent America in 2018. This is going viral. We need you to stand with this movement right now. A couple of ways you can stand with us. Number one, get on awakeinthedawn.org, sign up for Tent America. Number two, we need to raise $1 million in 2018. We are looking at a gathering of the praying, worshiping, creative, God-loving people across this nation that really has never happened like this before, and it will touch millions of people. It's a rescue mission to a generation. We have to have a third great awakening. We're asking you to stand with us financially so we can release the national sound that calls America together, not around Awake in the Dawn, but around Jesus' beauty, around Jesus' word, and the presence of God. Jesus is orchestrating something in our nation. What if millions got saved?
Well, we hope you enjoyed that. And Brenda, thinking back on what they just saw in the video, is there anything in particular there that they may have seen that you would like to just make a comment about?
You know, we had a lot of big speakers and stuff there. Yeah. And what the event did for, I think, everybody there was to give us a vision of what we could do in Iowa, what we could do in our own state. Mm-hmm. Will we have the huge speakers and all of that? We will not, but we will have praise and worship for 3 days on the Capitol South Lawn. Mm-hmm. And in that, what we have noticed in praise and worship, God shows up. He just shows up. And it's always amazing. And we had people from this area, this region, that joined us when we were at the Awake in the Dawn last year. And it was amazing to see, because some of them were friends of mine even. And so they came, and it was a unity, coming into unity from people in Iowa but also coming into unity as a nation, because all 50 states had a tent, and we went and we prayed with different states. We went and we prayed for different states. And even during the Awaken the Dawn, we'll be praying for Iowa, but we'll be praying for other states.
Yes.
It's not about us, it's about what's on God's heart.
Yes.
And right now what's on his heart is a generation that is not answered that call that the Lord has in his heart for them.
Yes.
And so it's awakening a generation that's been sleeping.
Yes. That is amazing. And we had, as I mentioned, 2 ladies from our church that went to that event, and it changed their life. And I'm so excited because this year you're bringing it home.
Yes.
Every state is bringing it back to their state and having a similar event at their state capital. And so it's not just in our capital here in Des Moines, but I'm going to ask Mark to share with you here in a moment about what's going to be taking place at that very same time on many campuses throughout the state of Iowa. We'll even tell you in not only in this recording, but in the one that'll air next week, and make sure to stay tuned for that, but we will air how you can become involved, and that if you are a college student or a teacher on a college campus, that you can help get these events set up and going on during the same time as the event that's taking place in Des Moines. And so, I think about when you talked about the unity, people coming together, all 50 states representative, I think about the prayer that Jesus prayed in John 17, that as the world saw us as Christians, as believers, coming together in unity and in love, working together, that would cause the world who does not believe, and there's a large portion of our population in this country who does not believe in God anymore. They do not believe the way our generation was raised. And so they're trying to find their way. And I think if they can see us coming together, working together, praying together, and worshiping together, what a message it's going to send out, a message of love and unity to the whole nation. So you can go to their website, and Mark, you said which website is it they should go to?
awakenthedawn.org.
Awakenthedawn.org is the national organization. You can go to that website and see, I'm sure, other video clips from last year's event in Washington, D.C. And it would be good for you to maybe see more of that, to let God inspire you to become part of what's going to happen this year. And so, speaking of this year, Brenda, you are very familiar with the Capitol grounds and what goes on there. And is this, the legislature will not be in session while this event is going on, though, right?
No, they will not.
They will not be there. But we're going to be there, aren't we? And it's going to be explain to them what's going to happen at the Des Moines event. And then we'll talk about college campuses, Mark.
Okay. So this year, what we're going to do is we're going to put a tent up on the south lawn. We're going to do a 3-day prayer and worship from 6 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. On those 3 days, we will be at the Capitol on the lawn, because the Capitol does not allow you to be there after late hours. We have to be off that area, and then at a local church right across the street after that. And so 11 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, we'll be at Elam Church. And we encourage you to bring just your chairs, lawn chairs. Come and sit. If you want to bring food and drink, that's great. There will be plenty of parking. And during this time, there'll be 3 weddings going on at the Capitol Mall.
That's something.
So we're trying to just keep things at a lower level, but still in that worshiping and praising God. We'll have a gal there that will be praying with people if they would like to be prayed for. There's just a lot of little things we're still putting together. I'd like to do communion on the last night. So we're looking at, this is also during the Feast of Tabernacles. So there's more to it than just a praise and worship get together. This is on God's heart.
Yes, for sure. And so they can come and go, but there'll be somebody there all the time. You said there'd be someone there that could pray for them if they needed prayer.
Yep.
I am assuming that you're going to have a team of prayer people to pray for various needs and various people. And I would encourage you to come, because I believe the presence of God's going to come and dwell on those very grounds. And it's all we need to receive. What we need from God is to get into His presence. Well, this may be an opportunity for you to come and receive something from God that you've been praying about for years, and to see it actually happen for you. But I think that the purpose of it is to gather people together for the purpose of praying for our country and for the younger generation of our nation. And speaking of that, I think I'll take and hand this off to Mark now to talk to you about what he's doing to organize events like this on college campuses, not just in Iowa, but in 7 states, which is his region. And so I'm going to let you take the next few minutes, Mark, and just share about what that's going to look like.
Sure. So it's actually 9 states.
9 states. I'm sorry.
9 states. So we actually have Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Montana, Wyoming, and Hawaii in our region. So we have the largest region. We have the most states. We have the largest geographical region of any of the regions. But what we're doing is same time, September 27th through the 29th for 50 hours on college campuses. We're calling the students, the professors, teachers, community members to come to campus and do the exact same thing that's happening at the capitals. So our hope is that we will have campuses all across the country hosting these tents where students and community members are gathering together, because if you don't know, students need mothers and fathers,
yes.
Godly mothers and fathers to help them through this transitional period. College is a pretty rough time for many students, and having community members that can come in and come alongside them is very, very important. So I really want to encourage you that if you're near a campus and you don't want to drive, from here, it's about 3.5 hours to Des Moines. If you don't want to drive that and there's a campus nearby, go there and pray with the students. They actually will appreciate that very much. So we've got, right now, it's over 40 campuses across the country that have signed up. Being that it's summer break, that number is probably not really indicative of the actual number of campuses that are going to do it. We know there's other campuses, they just haven't filled out the form. So we're doing that. We've got a few campuses in Iowa. Again, they haven't filled out their forms yet, but we know they're doing it.
Yes.
Some in Minnesota, some in Wisconsin, some in Nebraska, some of the other states we haven't heard from yet, but we're hoping that every state has some campuses going. And that's what we're going to do. It's going to be a mirror of what's happening at the capitals at the same time.
Now, Mark, if someone's watching this and they would like to be part of a campus outreach, how would they connect?
Right. So if you go, again, awakenthedawn.org, all of our communications go through the national website. Go on there, say you'd like to sign up to host or sign up to participate. There's different links. Fill out a short thing, and that then gets sent back to our regional directors and state directors for either the capital or campuses to get those people plugged in on those campuses.
Yes.
We're looking for people who are part of worship teams. We're looking for people who want to pray. We're looking for people who want to do outreach.
Yes.
We're looking for financial supporters too. If there's somebody that wants to help support it financially. Most of these tents are going to be unplugged. It's not a huge expense. They're just putting a tent up, perhaps electric for a keyboard. But beyond that, it's pretty much an unplugged tent, so fairly quiet. And so that's kind of the atmosphere, very intimate atmosphere that we're looking for.
Okay.
But outreach is a big part of this, and we do have some things in place to do outreach in cities, even going door to door.
Yes.
People want to do that.
Now you're talking my language, is outreach, but we just finished doing a county fair booth. But anyway, so if you are a parent who has a youngster going to college or university anywhere in the state of Iowa, make them aware of this. Tell them about the website that they can go to and get the information from it. And in our session that we're going to be airing next week, we will give more details about how to get involved, how to share the news. And I heard Mark say that we need people that are willing to go out and do outreach. We need people that are willing to come and just pray. We need people that are maybe have a worship ministry that want to come and just lead worship for a period of time. And perhaps the campus that you're on or will be on in September, maybe they don't even have an organizer yet. And you or somebody you know would be just the right person for that. Or maybe you know a campus ministry leader that needs to know this about this and have this information handed off to them. Would you do that? Send them again to the website, which is awakenthedawn.org,
right.
Correct? I want to make sure I get that right. And they can check it out for themselves on that website and decide to organize the students that are part of their campus ministry and plan this and reach just imagine the number of college students that could be reached during those 3 days. So again, stay tuned next week for the second part of this recording as we tell you more and share testimonies about the Awaken the Dawn experience. God bless you. Have a good rest of your day.